From the heart of Manhattan, this is Classic Talk.
This is a Classic Talk with Bing and Dennis.
Today we welcome Angela Mead, soprano, to Classic Talk. Angela, after just 4 years, her career has jumped to the top. She has quickly become recognized as one of the leading and outstanding vocalists of her generation. It's great to have you with us, Angela.
Thank you for having me.
Spend some time with us. Thank you.
I want to start with something that you do really well, that is vocal competitions. You have entered many competitions, and it looks like you've won them all. This is including
53. Is
I
that
think
right?
it's actually 55 now.
Oh my gosh.
including Richard Tucker, Jose Iturbi, George London, the Mets National, etc., etc.
Yes.
My question is this. Most singers dread singing auditions, and they don't think they show themselves the best in that setting. You obviously are different. What's the secret?
I don't know that I'm different in terms of auditions. I always thought of competitions as somewhat different than auditions, because I think an audition is such an artificial situation, because you go in and you sing and you outpour all this emotion and vocalese, and then they go, thank you.
Right.
That doesn't usually happen at a competition, especially, well, maybe in the first round, but at the finals of a competition, usually there's an audience there. And so you get that feedback from the audience. So it's like more like a performance than an audition is. So I think that was always what I...
Which was the first really big competition?
Oh, Lord. Well, I was in the Met National Semifinals in 2005, the first time. That was probably the really first big competition that I did.
Let's go back way before that to your beginnings.
My beginning.
Tell us where you're from.
I'm from Centralia, Washington.
Where is that in
That's
Washington?
about 90 miles south of Seattle and 90 miles north of Portland, Oregon.
Okay. And did you go to school, your college there too? Or?
I started at Centralia Community College there because I didn't know what I was going to do with myself. My parents advised against going to a university right off since I didn't know, and was taking sort of pre-med-ish sort of classes, lots of math and science and things like that, and found that I really didn't like it. And so I started singing with the community college choir there and was taking some music theory classes as an elective. And the teacher there, the choir teacher was also a music theory teacher, said, well, I have a friend who teaches voice lessons. Maybe you'd be interested in doing that because I know you're a great singer and you like to sing. So I said, sure. So I did that. And then he said, well, I think that maybe you should be an opera singer. You know, I think that behooves your voice. And so he said, I used to teach at Pacific Lutheran University in Tacoma, Washington, closer to Seattle. And so I transferred there and went to school there and did my vocal performance degree, and then went to the University of Southern California for my master's. Started my doctorate there because I applied for a bunch of young artist programs and didn't get into anything. And so to bide my time, and because school was free at that point because I was on a teaching assistantship, I started my doctorate, but then was accepted to the Academy of Vocal Arts in Philadelphia 1 year into my doctorate, and so I left my doctorate to go to AVA.
Mm-hmm.
So in that sense, have you ever thought about in the early time, why didn't you get into some of the programs and this and that? Why?
I think that young artist programs a lot of the time, they tend to, they don't know what to do with a bigger voice. And I think I was sort of in between sort of Fox at that point. I was not really lyric soprano, but I wasn't really a dramatic coloratura. And they also want to put a lot of people, they sing scenes and or chorus in the main stage, and they didn't really want to put me in the chorus, I'm sure, because I would have probably stuck out like a sore thumb. Size probably had something to do with it. I'm not really sure, but I guess it just wasn't meant to be.
So at the time, how do you feel? I mean, you know you have a good voice. You know you have such a powerful voice, and yet...
It was frustrating at the time. I thought, what's wrong with me? Why is nobody taking me into a program?
Right.
But I guess it turned out to be sort of a blessing because I was able to just sort of sit back and take lessons and learn a lot of repertoire on my own and, not have to go and sing chorus all summer somewhere and not get noticed. So...
Do you come from a musical family?
Sort of. Never professionally musical. My dad played the steel guitar as a young man, and my mom sang a lot. She sang actually with a couple of girls who, in church, they sang a lot of gospel music. And she was actually offered a recording contract at one time, and her parents made her turn it down because they didn't think that it lived up to having Christian values.
So you took from your mom.
I guess, yeah. She sort of lives vicariously through me now.
So they're very supportive of what you're doing.
They are now.
Oh, there's something there.
That wasn't always the case.
Really?
They always were supportive of me singing. They just wanted me to have a steady job to be able to support myself. My dad's a research forester with a major lumber company in Washington State, and my mom actually works for the same company, but as an administrator. And so they come from that, idea, my dad being sort of a scientist, you need to have this steady income and paycheck
Sure.
and everything. So it was hard for them to accept the individual contractor sort of thing
Yeah, and the uncertainty.
and the uncertainty.
Do you think they recognized that you have a good voice then? When you
They
were very
did.
young?
They knew that I could sing when we went to church when I was little, and I remember being in church and they always had, somebody would sing a solo or something on Sunday, and everybody always volunteered me, and I never wanted to do it. I was very shy, and they would stop the service for about 5 minutes or 10 minutes while people begged me to come up and sing, and then I'd finally go up and sing, and it would be fine once I got up there, but getting me up there was a kind of a nightmare. I always loved to sing, and I knew that I was good at it, but I never thought that I would make a career out of it because I just had no idea of the world of opera and classical music and how my voice, fit into the music.
Right. At what point in your life, meaning in high school or something, you say, okay, this is probably I wanted to do?
No, not until I took voice lessons with my teacher's friend because I didn't know what opera was at that point.
I see.
My parents never listened to it. They still don't unless I drag them to something. But I mean, I knew what, classical music sort of because I sang in choir and played in band and, did solo and ensemble contests. So you always had to learn sort of a classical piece for that. But it was never opera. So I didn't know anything about it. I didn't know that you could make a living doing that.
Did you take piano lessons or other instruments?
I
when you were-
did. I took piano lessons when I was young, but I hated practicing, and so my parents stopped making me take it because they, A, didn't want to waste their money, and B, they didn't want to fight with me to practice. I was very interested in playing a band. I played the flute. I played piccolo in marching band, and in high school, there were so many flautists that I decided I would play bass clarinet in concert band.
That's a switch.
Yeah. So I was always interested in learning other instruments. I tried the French horn for a while, and I tried, the oboe for a while, and
This reminds me, I have a theory that you have perfect pitch because you have such incredibly good
But I don't.
intonation. You don't have it.
no.
Then you have incredible music integrity and sensitivity to pitch because it's,
Well, thank
it's
you.
very pure.
Now, my boyfriend actually has perfect pitch, but no, I don't. I think I have relative pitch,
Sure.
but no.
He's also a singer?
He is. He's a tenor. Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah.
Do you have siblings?
I have a brother.
Is he musical at all?
No. At least not that I know of. He played in band when he was in school, but he never took it any further than that.
Your voice, the training of a technique. Also, when I hear your voice, it sounds like one of those voices that you open your mouth and it just rolls out.
I would agree with that.
But learning or acquiring a technique, would you consider it an easy process or was it really hard work?
No, I would say it was hard work, and people are going to hate me for saying that. I think I've always said that I was really blessed with a very natural technique. I've always just sort of been able, like you said, to open my mouth and for it to come out. I mean, there have been things I've had to work on. My chest voice having to come in and my middle voice switching in the passaggio having to come in. It's not that it was never there. It just needed to develop. And I always had an upper extension. And I guess I've always been able to move my voice. It was never anything that I was conscious of having to work at. Some people say, I struggle with learning coloratura. I just sort of learned it and it happened.
Or like,
So-
for example, a trill. You can do a trill. Did you learn to do that?
No,
or do you,
it just happened
it
one
just
day.
happened?
Just
One
like my
day.
pianissimo notes up in the stratosphere. That just happened one day. I remember asking my voice teacher in my master's degree, how do people sing high pianissimo notes? I was listening to Caballé. How does she do that? And he's like, well, we need to work on some other things first. So he never explained it to me, and it just happened one day. I was in a practice room and I was singing, and I was like, oh my God, that's how that works. Okay.
And you realized what had just happened.
Yeah.
Wow.
Do you think because you probably you feel the confidence, and so you just let yourself do whatever you have to do instead of thinking a lot?
Yeah.
Do you think that's
Yeah, I think that's true. I mean, of course, you're on stage and you're like, well, if you don't feel absolutely, completely 100% comfortable with the piece, you're thinking sort of what comes next. But I don't think that I get on stage and think, oh, well, I have to do this and this in order to make this note come out. It just sort of does.
You mentioned Caballé. Singing the repertoire that you sing, Bellini, Donizetti, Verdi, there have been many great, great artists who have sung these roles. Which ones do you admire the most, and do you feel you have learned the most from?
Well, I think I learned something from everybody that I listen to. There's different things that people do really well, their strengths, and I think I'm musically sensitive, and so I pick up on those things. I mean, I listen to Caballé because of her beautiful pianissimos. I listen to Collis for her interpretation. I listen to somebody like Margaret Price for her beauty of tone. So I think there's nobody that I'm 100% absolutely smitten with as my, number one person.
Which is probably a very good thing, because then you would be accused of or have a
You
tendency
tend to
copy.
imitate,
Yes.
of course.
Yes.
Of course.
That's good.
So, I mean, at what point you think, that's it, I got it, on my way, that kind of thing.
Has it happened yet?
Oh, yeah.
I think things are going in the right direction. I'm pretty happy with how things are going. I mean, why wouldn't I be? But
Yes.
yeah.
For our listeners, Angela has just finished singing the role of Elvira in the Met's Ernani, which included an HD, which was thrown out there for the whole world, and it was a tremendous success. Speaking of that, what was the day after like? Was it a letdown after such a rise?
Of course it was.
Yes.
I so loved working with everybody, and I had such a great time doing this again. That I was sad when it was over. Of course, you just want it to go on forever. But yeah, I mean, the next day I sort of lounged around the house and thought, I don't have anything to do. Yeah.
That's always hard from,
It's
such
hard.
a high, then all of a sudden
It's hard when a production is over, especially if you really enjoy it. I mean, if it's a production you don't really like doing, then you're glad when it's over. But I really enjoyed this, and
I'm sure you remember on 208, the first time you have to get on stage. Did you prepare yourself for it?
how did I prepare myself for it? Well, of course, I had rehearsals. I mean, everybody, I think, thinks I came into this in 2008, stepping on the stage with no rehearsal. I mean, that's how it always makes it sound. But of course, we know that's not true, because the Met prepares the covers just like they prepare the principal cast. Mm-hmm. So, I don't know, maybe it's better for me to let everybody think I didn't have any rehearsal. But I felt really prepared, actually. I'd had my rehearsals with the covers, and I'd met and talked briefly, just introductions sort of to the rest of the principal cast, and but I didn't feel uncomfortable going out there on the stage in 2008. I just felt like it was the right time, and I felt like I really knew the role and that I could sing it really well. And
How much time do you have ahead of, let's say, okay, you're going to be on in 2 hours or 3?
well, it depends on when they cancel. Sandra canceled the day before, so I had a little more than 24 hours notice, which was...
Did that work in your favor, or just give you more time to be nervous?
I actually wasn't that nervous, surprisingly so. I figured I would be a basket case, but I wasn't. I think it worked in my favor because I was able to get my family out there from Washington.
Which is great.
I think I would have been more of a nervous wreck if they called me 30 minutes before and said Sandra canceled all of a sudden.
Right.
I think I would have been, panicky. But
Since we're talking about Ernani and your role as Elvira, we have a video clip. May we listen to that?
Oh
didn't get to
about
hear my
this.
trill.
No, the trill comes later. This is the first act. What are you singing? What are you expressing?
I'm singing that, well, she's betrothed to marry her uncle the next day, which is kind of creepy. So she's been sort of sneaking around behind her uncle's back with Hernani, and he's an outlaw. Unbeknownst to her, he's actually a royal, somebody of noble blood in Spain. And she's been kind of skirting around, seeing him, and she's pleading, Hernani, please come and take me away from this situation before I have to marry my uncle tomorrow. So she's just waiting for him to show up at her room so she can run away with him.
Exactly. And is this one of your favorite arias to sing?
It is. I've sung it a lot in auditions, and I've just really come to love it. And I found new things. That pianissimo thing in the cadenza, that was something new that I added for this. I didn't used to do that. So.
Is it good to start an evening smack from the beginning with an aria like this?
Boy, it happens so much in my Fach, I can't even tell you.
You're used to it.
It's a little strange, actually, to go on stage and not have to sing an aria first. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But it doesn't bother me.
You'd rather have it there than late in the
Well, it
night.
depends on what comes before it. I mean, if it's a terribly difficult aria, like the Cabaletta of Hernani is wickedly difficult, especially when you have to sing it twice. That I don't think I'd want that to be at the end of the opera, because it would be, I think, too fatiguing to sing it at that point.
I guess Verdi knew what he was doing when
He
he
did.
put it at the beginning.
He did.
When you stand on the stage and you're facing 4,000 people, what was your feeling?
You can't see them.
Really?
It's a little like you're out there sort of singing to yourself, because you can't really see anybody. I mean, you see the conductor, and hopefully he's smiling back at you. So it's really like you're sort of out there by yourself. It's kind of a comforting feeling, actually.
You've worked with in your short career, you've worked with some very experienced singers such as Dmitri Vorostovsky and Ferruccio Furlanetto. Is it ever intimidating, or do you feel immediately at home?
I think I don't typically get intimidated by people. I figure we're all out there doing, our best, and if we all love what we're doing and we all know what we're doing, I don't know why we should all be intimidated of each other.
Do you think, because just by listening to you, everything is so confident? you think, just because your voice, and you feel there's no fear. I mean, I just do what I do the best, and it's nothing will bother me. I mean, that's a great feeling.
I try to do that. I mean, I everybody has their moments when they're, not feeling the best about what they do, but I just really love what I do so much, and I think I do it well, and I just try to go out there and have a great time. I mean, I know a lot of people get really nervous about performing, but I figure, I'm going out there and it's not brain surgery what I'm doing. No one will die if something happens, if somebody messes up, if somebody forgets words, notes, whatever it is. So
Sure.
you're going out there to entertain people,
Right.
and they want you to do your best. So why not give them that?
Exactly. Teachers, voice teachers. Have you had one for a long time or several? Or
I studied with Bill Schumann, and I have since I started AVA, which was now going on 7 years ago. I don't see him nearly as much now as I did when I was at AVA. I saw him every week, but now because I sing everywhere and am gone, I see him usually when I'm either having an issue with some sort of something in a role I've already sung, or else if I'm learning a new role, I'll go and sing it for him, and we'll talk about different things in it. And I mean, I basically just had a teacher when I was at school. So I had Bill when I was at AVA. I had Gary Glaze when I was at USC, and I studied with Mira Frohnmeyer and Marcia Baldwin while I was at Pacific Lutheran University.
when your agent calls and says, we've got a contract for a new role that you don't know, tell me something like, well, Anna Bolena is not well known. What's the process? What would you...
Well, if I don't know it at all, I'll go and get a score and a recording, because I like to look at a score when I'm listening to it to make sure, what exactly it is that I'm hearing. And if I think that it's a good fit, then I'll say, okay, fine, let's do that. And then I'll usually go sit down and I'll go through and I'll translate it so I, see what the story is, if I like what I'm saying, things like that. I'll try to get my hands on as many recordings of it as possible. and I'll listen through it several times, and then I'll take it to a coach after I've sort of ingrained part of it in my mind, and then work on it that way.
Do you look at the whole piece first, or you think, well, this style and singing is good for me or not?
It really depends on the piece. I mean, just because you sing Verdi doesn't mean that you should sing all Verdi.
Right.
And just because you sing early Verdi doesn't mean you should sing all early Verdi. I was asked to do a piece just a couple weeks ago, actually, and I thought, well, it's early Verdi. I mean, it should be fine. But then I looked at the score and I thought, oh my God, this is really low. So I said no. So
Verdi, Donizetti, Bellini. And are these the three that you feel the best fit with, or
and Rossini
and Rossini of
and
course.
Mozart.
And Mozart.
Yeah.
Is there any composer that you feel, oh, this is not a fit for me? It just doesn't feel right.
I don't really sing Puccini. I don't really think that I grasp the style of it real well. I'm actually singing Mi Chiamano Mimi on a concert in Boca next weekend, and they had requested it because we're doing this opera at the movies show, and that was one of the pieces that they wanted to have on there. And I thought, God, I was coaching yesterday, and I thought, this just really doesn't fit me right. It just, the tessitura doesn't really fit well, and just the style of it.
It's just because you...
Singing Puccini is so different than singing Verdi in terms of the style. Puccini is like singing like in gooey liquid, whereas singing Verdi, it's very...
Clearly delineated.
Yeah, clearly delineated. That's a good way to put it, yes.
Do you foresee that ever changing? That one day, oh, this Puccini's not so bad after all?
I love listening to Puccini. I just don't think that I'm particularly inclined to singing it very well. So that may change. I think I haven't dealt with it a lot. I think that's probably why I just
Probably
don't
over the
understand the
years.
style of it very well. I've never sung a full Puccini roll, so...
Well, there's so much Donizetti and Bellini and Rossini.
There is.
And Verdi to keep you going for a long time.
Well, I sang Mozart primarily in school, and so I think that lends itself better to the bel canto and the Verdi than it does to singing Puccini. So that's probably why I'm more comfortable in that.
Speaking of Mozart, I have a question just popped
Yeah.
up in my head. Is Don Giovanni, there are two roles. That,
Yes?
Don Anna, Don Elvira. Which one is calling at you or has called you
Well,
in the
I've already
past?
sung Don Anna, and I'll be singing it again this next season. I think it's the one people associate my voice more with. I wouldn't mind singing Elvira, though. I think she's a great character, and I love her music. So if somebody asked me to do that, I think I would. I have to see how it fits in my voice, but yeah.
It's what I thought, but
Yeah.
just wanted
I
to...
like Don Anna's music. She's a little bit, character's not terribly interesting. But that, I mean, if it's a staged, it's always hard, especially in like a concert version, to make more out of her than just sort of the weeping willow in the corner. But in a good production with a director that has a lot of ideas about how she could be more than that, would be interesting.
So
We're going to have to break in right here. I see it's time to take a break. So we are here in Classic Talk speaking with Angela Mead. We'll be back. This is Dennis and Bing, Classic Talk.